Hey everyone, it's the Dr. Jason West program. I am so excited to share with you the last part of our stomach series. And when I say the last part, it's actually not. I mean, we started with the top of the stomach, acid reflux. Then we went to diarrhea and constipation. Then we went to inflammatory bowel disease. And now we're going to be talking about how things exit the body. Primarily the stuff that goes out and deposited into the porcelain throne, but we also got to pick up food allergies. And do I have some neat stuff available on some special bonuses that aren't going to be there for very long? They're all free, and I'm going to share that with you in just a second. It's about the stomach report. And also, if you've missed some of the previous episodes, if you missed digest, there's a way to pick those up. No problem that you can see those. And I just got to check my, I just got a notice here. I hope that everything's on sound. Hey, I have a special favor. Okay, so I'm seeing Robert Harmon on there. Hey, if you've seen us, if you've seen value on the presentations and stuff, I'd have a big favor. Just give me a shout out, say hi if you're there, so that I can make sure that the sound's working, the video's working, and also we've got some really, really cool bonuses. So anyway, Robert, thank you for reaching out to me. Anybody else that would love to make a comment, it's going to be really, really nice to get those and give us a shout out and tell yourself, announce yourself, say hi, ask a question. I'd love to get a little bit more involved with the stomach report. And so a special request for everyone there. That being said, you guys, super excited to share with you what we have put together for this report. And again, it's the stomach series, and we've got tons and tons of stuff and value and stuff to go over. I know I've said that a little bit, but I also wanted to share with people, I just got to show this. If you go to our link right here, again, we're talking about the hemorrhoids today, not the hemorrhoids. And when I was getting ready to do the presentation, one of my staff said, "Why are you talking about hemorrhoids?" I'm like, that's because 75% of people have hemorrhoids, at least in some part of their life. And I have some amazing treatments for that. Number one, let me get rid of this little logo thing here. All right, here we go. This right here, I can't wait to share you with it. This is money for hemorrhoids. And what I mean by money is it's just so effective to treat it. It's not expensive. It's something that you can do at home. And so I'm just really excited to share that with everyone. Also, inside of our link, let me just pull this up right here. If you go and sign up for our free ebook, guess what? Underneath it, we've got the videos part of our educational series. It's going to be there for about, probably 4 or 5 more weeks. And then it's going to go inside of our university. We're going to clean it up. We're trying to literally develop a total e-course series about this. And anyway, our editor's going through it. And so it's going to be available for everyone for free for a little bit. If you're looking for the link, here it is. Like, we get all of the bonus materials, everything that we're talking about, the ebooks and everything inside of this link. You just follow here. You go to this page, and we've got the videos in here. And so what started off as a simple project where I said, we're just going to be talking about the stomach. And I thought, I can easily just go through this in 30, 45 minutes, actually developed into a 5-part series. And so with that being said, thank you everyone for a couple comments. Robert, Virginia, hi Gina, Nicole George, sounds great. Lori, hi Dr. J, and of course, hi Sandra, right here, peeps. So anyway, with that being said, you guys, we have some really cool stuff to go over and to review with everyone. So it is all about the stomach series and multiple part series. Again, if you go over there and you register, you get the previous videos and everything else. And also the ebook that we're continually updating. If you got it the first week, then you got to get it. You got to go through we update it the second time and the third time. And also we're adding in the hemorrhoid treatments and stuff this week. It's going to be available a little bit. Actually, it might be available now. We were rushing to try and get it done and talking about stone root and vitamin P. And then there's an oxygen treatment and also this treatment, which looks a little weird. I'm going to explain this in detail about hemorrhoids. So you guys, that being said, let's jump into the digestive system. And pull this up. All right, here we go. Let's rock and roll on this. Okay, just as a really quick review, everyone, if your stomach isn't working right, then you are not working right. It's only 80% of all health conditions are vitamin deficiencies, mineral deficiencies. And I love the statement, if your sewer system isn't working right, then you are not working right. And whoops, and I say this every time. I love this demographic right here. This, I shouldn't say demographic, this graphic right here about life, because here's what I'm convinced on life. Everybody has problems. If you know someone that doesn't have problems, I'm going to say, I just don't think you know them very well. Typically the grass is greener. I mean, if we took everybody's problems to, a park or a stadium and then said, hey, you can switch your problems with anybody else's, I think most people, not everyone, I think most people be like, my problems are okay, I'll just keep my problems. But the more established I get in life, I'm 48 years old, I don't feel old, but I'm recognizing this demographic or this illustration, slow down, keep calm, be positive, take it easy, unplug. I think this is so important, especially with the kids that are coming up, my kids and everyone else's kid, like unplug from the constant bombardment of messages and dings and TikToks and e-messages and email and video chats. Have fun, breathe, relax, go outside, meditate. And I think that the best source of trying to get stress, and again, stress is not something that you eliminate, like you can't get rid of it, just manage it. I think talking to yourself and journaling, I think those are the most powerful. I could be wrong. Those are just what I see. Remember, there's a toll road coming in life that you're going to pay for someone, right? You're going to pay for your doctor, which is really expensive. You're going to pay the grocer or your gardening efforts or your dairyman or your butcher, like whoever, you're going to pay someone, and taking good care of yourself is the most important investment and the cheapest way to live life. You don't want to be paying the medical system and healthcare providers and people like me. Like the purpose of this video series is to help people so that they can achieve and maintain optimal health with the least amount of doctor visits, the least amount of prescriptions, the least amount of nutritional therapies as possible. So remember that toll road's going down life. And just kind of a real quick review inside of the digestive system. Here it is: acid reflux, diarrhea, constipation, inflammatory bowel disease or Crohn's disease. We are focusing this week on part 4, hemorrhoids and an itchy anus, which they really go together. And you know what? It's so uncomfortable. And I've had people saying, look, you just got to do something. It's ruining my life. And then next week, it's going to be talking about food allergies. And then I have a whole new topic that is coming our way. But this, just as a real quick review, acid reflux, 80% of the time, it's when people don't have enough acid. And so unfortunately, there's some clever marketing that's making people sick because it's saying that, oh, you have too much acid. Let's take calcium carbonate. Let's take something that's an acid stopper, and it blocks the digestive problem or the system. And then what happens is you have a hormone called cholecystokinin that basically is the gallbladder stomach communication pathway. And it's my opinion that long-term, and as they wear out your gallbladder, that's why there's so many gallbladder surgeries. And so it's a simple test. If you have acid reflux or heartburn, please try this experiment. Get a little bit of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon, and put it in half a glass of water. Drink it after meals. That acetic acid will help to break down the food that's in your system. And most of the time it helps. Most of the time, acid reflux is too little acid. It's the wrong bad acid and not enough of the right acid. So try that. If it makes it worse, you can downregulate the sympathetic nervous system or the vagus nerve by using phosphorus. It's such an amazing mineral. It's good for energy, but it helps to calm everything down. So no matter what happens, you got some information of what to do next. So too little acid, which is 80% of the time. Eat healthy, protect the stomach. I like fat soluble vitamins for that. And then try the apple cider vinegar. You have digestive enzymes. Now, on the other side, if you have too much acid or heartburn, you have a mineral treatment called phosphorus. Phosphorus helps to regulate the wandering nerve, which is a cranial nerve that comes out of your skull, goes and tells basically all the organs what to do. This is why if you have a spinal cord accident, particularly in your neck region, you can lose the movement and coordination of your feet and your hands, but your organs will still work because it's the vagus nerve that calms us down. And my dad taught me this really neat trick. Sorry, I hit the button on accident. My dad taught me this really neat trick that you can really help to control the vagus nerve by using phosphorus. Now, if you have too much acid, you want to eat healthy, protect the stomach again, which is vitamins A, D, E, and K. I also like using morlite clay or bentonite clay associated with that. And then you regulate the parasympathetic nervous system with phosphorus. Then we moved on to the next part, which is diarrhea. So diarrhea is, you always think infection, at least I do when someone has chronic diarrhea. Now, it's very common for people to have periods in their life where they have their stools are too loose, diarrhea, or they're too slow, which is constipation. But if it's chronic, you start thinking of infection, viruses, bacteria. So deregulating your immune system is really important. And then moving over to how can we help diarrhea? Well, it's the biggest cause, I think, of dehydration. So you want to regulate electrolytes. And one of my favorite ways to do this, which doesn't taste great, it's most effective in my opinion, is pickle juice. Again, this is the beginning of Gatorade. And so people didn't really like the taste of pickle juice. So then we developed into Gatorade and this multi-billion-dollar industry. But originally it was pickle juice, and it has those electrolytes in there. It's a fermented food. I think it's really, really healthy. That's it. And digestive enzymes, I would rather take digestive enzymes than to take pickle juice, but it helps to digest food. It's in your stomach. Fiber is really good to basically collect water inside of the colon so that you get a foreign bowel movement. I think that most of the time diarrhea comes from infection. And I need to make a little bit of a caveat because the second biggest cause of diarrhea, or maybe equal to infection, is food allergies, which is going to be segment next week. The last week of July, we're talking about food allergies and stomach health. And so anyway, that's kind of a quick rundown of diarrhea. Then it is the flip side of that. When your bowels are too slow, it's constipation. Now, constipation is so important because of the input from the liver and the gallbladder system. So what happens is when dietary fat comes down the GI system, the liver secretes bile into the system, and bile helps to break down or emulsify fats. And everybody, if you're alive and you're paying attention to literature, USA Today Studies, Science to Studies, Parade Magazine, Prevention Health, you always hear about essential fatty acids, so omega-3s, omega-6s, and then your long-chain amino acids, omegas 10 and 12 are so important for protecting the myelin sheath and lubricating your system. And the only way that gets in your system is if you're emulsifying or breaking down fats. That comes from the liver system. And if you have a problem with the liver system and the bile is going over to the gallbladder and being stored, if it's not being consistently utilized or drained, you get a diseased gallbladder, and then it has to come out. You can live without a gallbladder. You just need to make sure that we're stimulating the liver to break down the fats. So what I'm trying to say is that bile salts are the forgotten thing for constipation. Bile salts are so healthy for that. Digestive enzymes are good. Think of the pancreas and pancreatic enzymes, and of course, fiber. I forgot to mention in my list over here that I would say probably the most important factor in the constipation pathway is to making sure that you have enough water. So many times I have patients come into the office, they'll say, my bowels aren't working right. And I'll ask them, well, are you getting enough water? Which I consider an essential nutrient. I mean, we need it for so many different things. And patients will say, well, I don't want to go to the bathroom, so I'm not drinking very much, right? Is the car ride over here? I didn't want to have to go to the bathroom. And my first recommendation is just try to upregulate water. And when people say, well, how much do you take? I'm like, well, somewhere between 80 and 128, 4 ounces is good. So 3/4 to a gallon of water. Sometimes people get the glazed look in their eyes. They're like, oh my gosh, what is he having us do? And I said, well, just try to get a little bit more. So water on that. Okay, the next thing is just remember there's an ebook download that's available, or you can follow the link. Let me see if I can get the link up here. Okay, here's the link. And I'm so excited to share people with what's happening in the link, because this is something new that we've never, ever done before. We actually have all of the videos. You get the download, but we have the videos related to health. Now, we have some advanced things that are available for our Thrivers Tribe, which we have a special question answer period virtual office visit with me every Wednesday from 7 to 8. It's a little bit different program, but if you missed the digestive one, or if you've missed the diarrhea, constipation, or you have missed the inflammatory bowel disease, you can go pick all of it up. It's right over here. So, all right, let's get back to our program. All right, we're just reviewing. I think we're going to be on inflammatory bowel disease, and let's pick this up. Okay, here we go. All right, inflammatory bowel disease. It's so important because it's critical for neurotransmitters. You know, you are what you eat, you are what you absorb, and there's so many important, just critical neurotransmitters that are formed in the stomach. I think it's the second brain, where they talked about there's more neurotransmitters made in your stomach. And so when people have that feeling of, you know what, there's a decision in front of me, I'm going to go with my gut, it's because their gut's firing off there's neurotransmitters. I think there's a really neat physiologic response for that. So if your stomach's not healthy, it's going to cause anxiety and depression and nervousness and cyclic mood disorders and hormone imbalances. And that's all associated with the inflammatory bowel disease. It causes inflammation in the GI system. It can lead to abdominal pain, severe diarrhea, weight loss, malnutrition. And by the way, it can also create weight gain. It's not just always weight loss. I need to fix that in my presentation. And there's so many inflammatory bowel conditions related to diarrhea, blood in the stool, fevers, mouth sores, reduces appetite, weight loss, weight gain, abdominal pain, anal pain, and drainage. It's literally, you are what is happening in your sewer system. And so many people say, well, Dr. West, how many of your patients have stomach problems? And the answer is like nearly all of them. Something is going on right. They're not getting the minerals, or they're not getting the vitamins in your system. And one really good example of this is if you aren't getting the essential vitamins and minerals in your system, what happens is your body exacerbates is maybe a better way to say it, grazing syndrome. So what's grazing syndrome? If you're not getting manganese and vitamin P and vitamin G and vitamin T and molybdenum in your diet, what happens is you'll eat stuff, and then your body will say, well, I didn't get what I need. I'm still hungry. It causes grazing syndrome. When people say, I'm full, but I'm not satisfied. That's because we're not getting those minerals in your system. Now, sometimes it's from inflammation in your GI system, but other times it's because we're not getting what we need into the system. So if you're dealing with food cravings, like we just got to make sure that we have a good absorption of your GI system and making sure that we have all of that stuff inside of your system. So what to do with inflammatory bowel disease? We want to manage stress, which there's no way to eliminate stress. This is the myth of the right answer. When people say, or I'll see this periodically at late night television. If I can't sleep and I'm kind of channel surfing, I'll see things, I'll take this and it gets rid of XYZ. And I always find that fascinating. Sometimes I get suckered into getting the stuff just like everybody else. But here's what I say when management of stress. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I've heard people say, I go on a drive, I go for a walk, I talk to myself, I journal, I pray, I meditate, I ride a motorcycle, I do yard work, I knit. I mean, there's all of these different things. And whatever that is for you, I think it's so important to get on your schedule so that you have an outlet. It's time to reboot. It's time to reset. So if you get nothing else from the presentation, like schedule some time for you. And I say this every single week because I think it's so important. Put it on your schedule, put literally brackets around it. And so when people say, Dr. West or Macy or Sandra or Robert or whoever, hey, we need to do something at this time period. And if it's in your personal time, you got to tell people, look, I have an appointment. I'm committed. I have a commitment time. Now, they don't need to know that it's with the most important person in your life, which is you, but you got to get that on your schedule, because when you reset, now we got the neurotransmitters to calm down, we get the stomach to go down, we can help to reduce the effect of adrenaline and stress and norepinephrine and everything else on your GI system. So find something that is really important that allows your stress outlet, and make sure that you do that consistently. Okay, going back to our presentation, you want water, eat clean, protect the stomach, break down the foods, and scrub and vacuum out the back part of the GI system. Now, I told you that my favorite way to do that, and here's the example of a normal intestine and Crohn's disease. So a normal intestine, it's clean. You have these muscle striations that we have in here that allows the rhythmic contraction of the stomach. They call that peristalsis, and it gets food outside of the system. And then you have inflammatory bowel disease. In this illustration, it's Crohn's disease. And Crohn's, you have that sticky mucus, you have stress in the GI system, it leads to a thickened wall, and you get these pits, or you get these ulcerations. So to help with inflammatory bowel disease treatment, step one, heal and soothe the stomach. So I like using refined plant blood, also known as chlorophyll. So it's vitamins A, D, E, and K. And then it's about the forgotten vitamins, which is your bioflavonoids, which is vitamin P, and your arachidonic acid, which is vitamin F, and your lipotropic or fat-loving B vitamins, which we call vitamin G. Now, refined plant blood extract and your green leafy vegetables and your colorful things like peppers, they have all of that in there. So if we can get that inside of the system, we want to break down the food. We want to scrub out the system using bile salts. And then the vacuum cleaner that I talked about last week that I think is so important is something called okra. Now, okra is a sticky herb typically grown, at least in the United States and the South, and it literally can help with those proteolytic enzymes to basically bind up to the mucus inside of inflammatory bowel disease. Now, naturally, with every case, it can be a little bit different, but I consider this a lint roller or a vacuum treatment for the GI system. And so to kind of review that process, we want to heal and soothe irritated GI tissue. We want to break down the food. We want to help with the bile salts, which is kind of the scrubber. And I need to add fiber in there as well. Probably my favorite fiber is celery. My second favorite fiber is raw cucumbers. But anything that kind of push stuff out. I don't like grain fiber, like breads and stuff like that. There is some non-digestible or basically cellulase that's in there, but I just think breads are not worth the scrubbing effect. So move over to celery and move over to cucumbers. And then the vacuum cleaner is that okra pepsin. Now, we have that outlined in our free book that I tell everybody about. You know, here is the link. I'm sorry, it's lengthy. And again, if you go over there, not only can you get the book, but you can also get the other videos on parts 1, parts 2. This is part 4, and then next week we are going to cover food allergies or food sensitivities. Okay, so now we get to, it only took us, let's see, what is it, 6:24? I try to do these about 30 minutes, and we finally got to our topic, which is the exit of the body, which is hemorrhoids. So we're going to go through these relatively quickly. I love this picture of a guy basically putting his hands over his posterior, and there's a little red or inflammation that signifies it, because hemorrhoids are not fun. They hurt. And again, 75% of people are affected by hemorrhoids. It's exacerbated by stress and pregnancy and particularly constipation. I think constipation and hemorrhoids go hand in hand, because when you strain at the stool, what happens is it stresses the rectal veins, and then literally we blow out those veins. They get enlarged. It's like a varicose vein, the rectum, varicose veins, spider veins, pink toothbrush disease, when you brush your teeth and your gums start bleeding, are all risk factors that are closely associated with hemorrhoids. So what is it? It's also called piles. It's swollen veins in your anus and your lower rectum, similar to varicose veins, and they can develop inside of the rectum, called internal veins, or outside of the rectum, which we call an external hemorrhoid. So 3 out of 4 people will have hemorrhoids from time in their life, and sometimes it's unknown, but a lot of times it's because of again, not a healthy GI system and at a deficiency in vitamin P. And if you haven't heard about vitamin P, what I tell people is like, I'd say that vitamin P is the most important vitamin because it makes vitamin C work. It's also known as rutin factor. It's heavily, there's a lot of it inside of your bioflavonoids, which is squash and carrot and red and yellow peppers. That's some of the best sources of rutin factor. But the reason why it's so important is because it makes vitamin C work. Vitamin C and vitamin P regulate basically the health of your venous system. And so again, 75% of people have that. External, those are under the skin around your rectum. Itching, irritation, pain, discomfort, swelling around your anus, and bleeding. So when people go to wipe, they can have, basically red and blood on the toilet paper. Then the internal hemorrhoids lie inside of the rectum. I'm sorry, you guys. Inside the rectum, they aren't usually as painful as external hemorrhoids. But again, a lot of bleeding, which can lead to anemia. And then if your blood's not healthy, it's really the most common cause of fatigue is not having healthy red blood cells. And then sometimes people can get a prolapsed hemorrhoid and it'll drop down. And sometimes the only way to treat those are to do a surgery or a cauterization. So the causes of hemorrhoids are straining to our bowel movements, sitting for a long time on the toilet, or even sitting doing office work. This is why it's so important. You've got to move. Movement is life. Having excess weight, pregnancy, anal intercourse, eating a low fiber diet, regular heavy lifting can all, like if you increase your internal body pressure, what can happen is it can push out distressed rectal veins. And now we have a hemorrhoid problem. So the complications are anemia, strangulated, or basically the hemorrhoids get twisted, and now we have a surgical case. And in less common side effects is blood clots. And so what can you do about hemorrhoids? Well, the biggest thing I said, vitamin P, I think is so important. I like to use a product in the office that is modified beet leaf greens. And that's where I like to have the vitamin P come from. High fiber diets, drinking water, fiber supplements, that's what the NX means, and straining at the stool. So what can we do to help those? Number two, when you're prompted, go to the bathroom. Making yourself wait, I think is really, really unhealthy. The older I get and the more I work with patients, I think that when people are either not drinking enough water, or if we do different things like it's not socially convenient to go to the bathroom, I think this is really unhealthy. Like when you are prompted to go to the bathroom, if at all possible, you should go to the bathroom. Movement, walking, I think is one of the great things, but just parking your car farther away from the store, making sure you're getting out and exercising. People say, how much should you walk every day? Unless you have central canal stenosis, or unless there's severe Parkinson's disease where you don't have very good balance, some other things. I think 2 miles is a really good goal. I read a really interesting anthropology study that said, before we had the industrial age, that most people walk somewhere between 15 and 17 miles a day. And now there's a lot of people that they walk basically from their living room to their car, and their car to the store, their car to work, and then back. And we're just not getting enough movement. And that's why I put in this little thing about sitting. It could be killing you. So advanced treatments for hemorrhoids and things like that is vitamin P, stone root. Okay, stone root is a vascular astringent that helps to shrink or put basically the elasticity back into veins, in my opinion. So this is something my dad taught me. I didn't learn it at school. I've seen it work for 21 years. And I want to make sure it's not unrealistic in people's expectations. It doesn't automatically shrink everything, but it does really help to take the edge off on advanced hemorrhoids. And I think it's really important if you have spider veins and if you have pink toothbrush disease and varicose veins, that it's really important to use this to prevent additional development. Digestive enzymes that help break down food are always a good place to start with constipation. That's why it's so important. another herb called tillandsia, and stool softeners, natural stool softeners, which are bile salts, or sometimes if you need magnesium and stuff like that, it will help to take the stress off of the rectal veins, are a really good place to start. Now, advanced treatments, and this is what I'm excited to share with you here. There's some magnet therapy, there's neural therapy, there's rectal insufflation therapy. And one of the best places to start with hemorrhoids is this right here. It's called a Pelton Shepherd Cryostem. I don't think they're very important. I can't remember exactly the price. I want to say they're $25, and they look like this. So this is a little steel tube, and then this is just a foam that goes around this, and you put these inside of the freezer. And I've just had wonderful outcomes for this. People have used them literally for 20 years. I think one of my very first patients had hemorrhoids. My dad taught me this technique. We went to super lightweight aluminum. You put it in the freezer. Then you take this little lubrication and you put it on, and you insert it into the rectum just like this. And it's literally, when you have a sprained ankle, one of the things that helps is to control the inflammation. You put ice on it. That's what these are. It's called a Pelton cryotherapy. I can get them from my office. I'm sure you can get them online. I just want to help people with hemorrhoids. They're not fun at all. It comes in a little pack like this. And then there is a little directions things here. By the way, you don't need both of them. There's two of them. Another thing that I have people is they mark it with a Sharpie or something, and you can use the other one. Is a really nice, effective way for trigger points. So when you have tired muscles and stuff like that, you use the clean one, and you put ice on it, and you can put it basically on the different muscles and stuff like that. Obviously, you don't want to mix up the clean one and the rectal one. That goes without saying. But the Pelton Cryostem treatment, Pelton Shepherd Cryostem probe, is something that just have really good outcomes with it. It's simple. It's inexpensive. It's what you can do at home. This is kind of fun to empower people so they don't need additional office visits. Another thing, PMF therapy stands for pulsed electromagnetic frequency therapy. Neural therapy is an advanced German technique where you can actually take a modified B vitamin. In certain cases, you can do an injection into the enlarged tissue. I've seen really good outcomes with that. And then rectal insufflation is an advanced oxidation medicine treatment where you can take a little catheter and an oxygen ozone combination, and it literally helps to shrink wrap or reduce distressed veins. So that's kind of a quick overview. I'm going fast in here. There's an ebook download that you can pick up on stomach conditions. There's also, when you go to that site right here, stomach and digestive health. And then when you do your free registration, what happens is this comes up, and inside of this right here, you can see the different sections of the stomach and GI health program. It's kind of a fun little thing that we put together. The team said, hey, we're having people ask about missing digestion and missing diarrhea and constipation. And so we put that together. We just did that tonight. I've already showed you guys the link a couple times, and we have the stomach report. It gets updated every week. As I put things, started off as a 3-page report, and now I think it's about a 20-page report. And if anybody's out there saying, oh my gosh, I don't want to read about that, we're trying to group it just by sections. And as a reminder, patient success stories. I'm so excited to share with you Amy's story. This is Amy right here. She was inside of our office yesterday. We did a program about literally getting her life back, and doesn't have Lyme disease, did not have, a cancer support diagnosis, wasn't autoimmune, was just someone that was literally out of juice, and they were tired, and how they got their life back. It's prepared to be inspired. We do that every Thursday at 5:00. I'm excited to share that with you. That's our show for tonight. It's the Dr. Jason West Show every Wednesday night. Next week, we're talking about food sensitivities. And then we have a special cancer program that we're doing in August. And what I mean by that is I had a patient that said, Dr. West, I have cancer. What would you do? And I think I've developed that into a really nice segment. I'm just going to walk people what we do if I had that diagnosis. And by no means are we going to be able to cover everything in 30 minutes, but I think the segment we're going to call is what would I do if I had cancer treatment? Or if I had a cancer diagnosis. Next week, it's all about digestive enzymes. That's our show for tonight. We're getting ready to go inside of our question and answer periods. It's our virtual office visits every Wednesday from 7 to 8. You can literally get an office visit with me every single week for pennies on the dollar. If you'd like to know more about that, it's inside the Thrivers program. It's called thewestclinic.com. Tells you all about this amazing program where we make your custom supplements. We do a custom office visit for you. Get all of this information, literature, studies, everything else. And that's what we do on Wednesdays after our free masterclass. I'm Dr. West. Thank you so much for coming on the journey with me. Next week, food allergies, August. I'm going to do a presentation on what I would do if I got diagnosed with cancer. It's going to be really powerful. I'm sure it's going to be a multiple part series, but I'm so excited to share that with you. That's our show for tonight, you guys. I will see you next week on food allergies. See you later.